Hey fellas, this is Rabe speaking, and I cannot believe we have the final season of Dragon Prince. At least is what they say. This is a spoiler review, so if you have not seen Dragon Prince Season 7, then you might want to, because we're going deep into spoilers. Dragon Prince is something that I've seen since the very beginning. Like, when I first saw that trailer on Twitter, I was just like, what is this? I wasn't too fond of the animation. Well, I mean, the character designs and the backgrounds were cool, but I wasn't too fond of, like, the frames. And it's just amazing to see how Dragon Prince has evolved from that. So, basically, this picks up right where we left off in Season 6, where Erebos has finally been freed by Claudia and Terry. And so, he has his own agenda to bring back these spirits to piss off the gods, the cosmos, or whatever. I forget what they were. Basically, he wants revenge for what happened to his daughter, saying like, oh, my daughter didn't deserve this, which we all agree with him. Like, Erebos is one of those villains that has a point, but he's just at it the wrong way. He's after revenge, and of course that threatens, people who are innocent. Like, Erebos, despite him being a threat, despite him being like, the main bad guy like Thanos or Emperor Palpatine, like, he doesn't seem as evil as them, where you see where he comes from, and when he interacts with Claudia, you see that they're developing this father-daughter relationship, and when he's out in the wilderness, and then going on that ride, and the carousel, you see him laughing, you see him just enjoying himself. And so he says to Claudia, I haven't had this much fun in a long time. And that just shows you that Erebos, despite him being a villain, despite him being the main threat, he actually has feelings. He actually has a fun, soft side to him. So I definitely think they handled Erebos right. And Claudia too, though. Like, Claudia does not get redeemed, as we see. She doesn't kill her brother, but she also doesn't go back to the side of good, nor does she die, as we see. We see at the very end when Erebos is killed, I guess he was killed, but when Erebos gets killed, sort of, Claudia, decides to wait 7 years to bring him back, because Erebos can come back. And at least they explain it better than with Emperor Palpatine in The Rise of Skywalker, when Poe says, somehow Palpatine returned. Like, let's be real here, guys. If you guys have seen Rise of Skywalker, you know that was kind of an ass pull, what they did. But anyway, though, so that's one of the things that pisses off people when it comes to this final season, is that this season, even though it was technically the conclusion, it kind of left things on a cliffhanger. But does that make this finale bad? Well, it depends how you look at it. Like, I think of certain shows where they don't always wrap up everything. Like, take something, if you've seen Sopranos, you guys who have seen that ending, you know it didn't wrap up everything, and that it kind of left you on a cliffhanger. And so some people were pissed off, but some people were not pissed off. I was not pissed off at all. So that's kind of where I feel with Dragon Prince, where instead of just answering everything, it leaves you with questions like, is Ezran really gonna bring back his kingdom? Is Caleb and Rayla, are their relationship gonna continue? What does this mean for King Harold? Is he gonna be found as this bird? And I was right about that, by the way. I was glad that King Harold was not dead and that his spirit is in the bird. I called it all the way back. I think it was in the Season 1 or Season 2 review video where I just came up with that theory that his body was in that bird. So I'm glad that it was confirmed, though I'm kind of pissed off that they kind of just revealed it this late. One of my flaws with that was Varen, when Varen has kind of seen the error of his ways and he went to the prison. Like, why didn't he just say anything that King Harold was still alive in the bird? Now, what are some of the other flaws that I have with this season? Well, the Sun Elf subplot. I was really excited when I felt like that subplot had finally ended with, I think his name's Karen, the brother. I thought like, yes, finally, this is all wrapped up and we can move on. Nope, it's still going on. Though, the only thing I found interesting about this subplot is when he has a moment with his wife, who is pregnant with his child. He calls this child his heir. And his wife is like, why do you call it his heir? Like, why can't you just call it, your son, your baby and all that? It's a person. But he just sees it as his legacy. He sees this child as like a tool for his vengeance on his sister. And that's just kind of fucked up when you think about that there are some people in royalty who just think of their children as tools for just to take down their enemies. But either way, though, he gets what he deserves during the climax with Erebos. He thinks that he has gained Erebos' approval, that he's going to be on his side, and then once he stands on Erebos' giant hand, Erebos squeezes the hell out of him, blood's oozing out of his grasp. I was cheering so hard. I had to rewind that very moment just to watch it again. So despite me hating that subplot, I did enjoy how it ended. Another thing that I didn't really care for too much was how the romantic plot with Calum and Rayla just... Don't get me wrong though, I love the connection between these two characters, but I felt like we had too many moments where they're just having these moments where it's just getting dragged on to the point where it's kind of stalling the story. Because the thing is with Calum, for like the past 3 seasons, he was like concerned that he was gonna be on Erebos' side, that he was gonna be a pawn in his game, and he's been trying so hard to get away from all of that. And so now he's here with Rayla, with her 2 fathers, just, chilling. I get, it's a nice moment and all that, but again, it's just dragged on. Like, it just takes away from that very, very character arc that he is so trying hard to accomplish. Like, how is he going to outsmart Erebos? How is he going to defeat him? Because, I understand, like, he thought that he already won against Erebos. But I felt like they could have came to that realization earlier. Like, remember when that one elf comes over to reveal to Rayla and Calum, hey, Erebos is back, and Calum, gets really, really disappointed in himself for not having the right orb. And so they could have done that moment a lot earlier in the season, and then we could have focused a bit more on the build-up on how he's going to take down Erebos. Like, how am I going to do this? But instead, hey, let me have this daydream of me dancing with a talking sweet for some reason. That was a bit weird, by the way. I know, Dragon Prince has a lot of funny moments, but I felt like this one was a little too weird. So now let's go back to stuff that I did like about this season, and that is Ezran. Ezran, I don't know if I said this before, but Ezran might be one of the most developed characters in the entirety of Dragon Prince. Going from this innocent little boy to being this king who has to make tough decisions, has to make aggressive decisions, while also not losing his way and still protecting his people. That's what Ezran is trying to do. And so when he sees the guy who killed his father, he has him arrested, and that leads to Calum and Rayla breaking him out, and him having a little internal conflict with Calum and Ezran. It kind of reminds me a bit of Varen and Harold, where they were kind of like brothers. They were best friends. And so now we have a dark mage and a king, both brothers, and they're against each other. So, but you wonder, who do you root for? Do you root for Caleb or do you root for Ezran? Because you know neither of them are bad people. But the question is, who do you agree with more? Who do you think is right and who's in the wrong? That's what you are curious about. I kind of sided with Caleb a bit, but I also kind of agree with Ezran. Like, there had to be some accountability. I also like how Terry was handled in this season. He went from being loyal to Claudia to doing what he thought was right. Like, he knew Erebos was a bad person. When he killed that bird, that mother bird, he was just like, this is the last straw for me. And so he also learned that Claudia lied to him about the map, how he could see it but she couldn't. So he just feels complete betrayal. And usually in certain other shows, usually the characters would get back together. Nope, Terry can't do this anymore. He knows that Claudia is going down the wrong path and that he can't take her away from it. So he joins the side of Ezran. He also works with Soren. So I like the little bit of chemistry between these two characters, though it kind of bums me that they'll never be brother-in-laws. But overall, was this a good season? Well, I think it was a good season, just wasn't the best. In fact, this might be my second least favorite season. I think my least favorite was season 4 because it was just them at one place and not a whole lot happened until the very end. But I already made my complaint about that. But this one, like I said, had its good moments, but also its dull moments. The last season was really good. Season 5 was pretty good too. And just season 1 through 3, just an absolute masterpiece. Like, that had very little flaws. Like, but I feel like the writers just kind of lost that spark on how to make their second half of Dragon Prince just as good as the first half. But, you know, a lot of writers have that problem. And so I can just look back at this series as a whole and just see what it did right. That it did good with its characters, both heroes and villains. That it did good with its comedy and drama, how it wasn't forced at all. And how it did well with its animation, how it progressed from just looking like okay to magnificent. But I already talked about that already. And just Dragon Prince, I am so glad that I gave this show a shot. I was not entirely sure what I was getting myself into, and wow. If you guys have like enjoyed this season or just this show in general, just let me know your comments down below. Like, what did you like about this season? What did you not like about this season? And what was like your favorite season, your favorite moment? What was your favorite character? Just what was your favorite thing about this series in general? Just let me know in the comments down below. I'm curious to know. And if you are new to this channel, please make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and don't forget that I have a book published, so the link is in the description down below for you to check it out. And that's all I have to say. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Rob A, and may the anime force be with you.